The first business we had the flea market down at the fairgrounds when it was the old buildings. We had that for 3 years, and during the time we were there, he started buying martial arts uh, uniforms, swords, throwing stars, nunchucks. And when we left the flea market, we had a martial arts store. He didn't care what it was, what he sold. He just wanted to have his own business. He didn't care what he was selling. And in '87, he and our son went to Memphis, and our son spent $300 on comics. So my husband thought maybe we could do okay with comics. In the middle '90s, he died in '96. Right before he died, you could tell the bottom was going to fall out. Retailers bought too many, customers bought too many, and customers says they're not doing that anymore. Bottom fell out, and I had to deal with it after he passed away. Well, he had no life insurance. I was too young to draw Social Security. I had no minor children at home, so this is all I had. So I had to come to work when I didn't even feel like living. Well, a typical day is I uncover stuff that I've covered up with plastic because I have leaks. You turn the computer on, put the receipts in the computer from the previous day, and I buy from Diamond Comic Distributor, Lunar Comic Distributor, Penguin, Random House, and you get invoices from them. You put them in the computer because my husband created a system where you have a check-in form, a weekly form, and a final cycle form. He created a master form. Now this guy only got a GED diploma, and he come up with those systems. I still use them today. I told my son once, I said, that was so smart of you and your daddy. Thinking that, he said, it wasn't me, Mother, it was Daddy. Our customers have always been adults with jobs. Most people think of a comic shop as little kids. You hardly ever have any little kids unless the parents are into comics and they bring their little kids in and try to get them into comics. But our customers have always been grown-ups with jobs. You get they become like family. You get to know. People tell you everything. Customers draw it and bring it in. It's not for sale. It's just a gift to me. Yeah, 10 years ago. They would have been 16, 14. He's 25 and she's 23. Lance works in the lab at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and she's a interior architect designer in Nashville. That's Lance meeting Spider-Man at Old Hickory Mall 20 years ago. Yeah, they was gonna put us out of business.
They were gonna put us out
They
of
was
business.
always gonna put us out of business, but they're not here anymore. They were all fanboys and live with their mommies and daddies.
Probably looking at about 45 minutes. You do have one phone ahead of you. I'll wear my quirky pins that way. Everyone can know I'm a quirky game store employee. I work here. Chris Primo. Been here for Jacob, how long have I been here?
Like 2 years and some months, right? Is that about
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so I'm Chris Primo. I've been
No,
working
3
here at
years.
Nerdvana for 2 years. 3 years?
3 years.
2 years.
Same.
Sure, I've been here. Store's been open for about 10 years or so, at least in this location. More than that in another location further out south, but about 10 years here. It's actually gone through 3 owners. There was one at the very beginning who's opened it as sort of a passion project. It was like that for I think maybe a year and a half or so, and then the second owner, Paul, picked it up, and a lot of our internal workings, a lot of our coding and stuff, he had a passion for coding, so he built a lot of that framework. And more recently, around the time when I started, Mark has picked it up since then. So we're on our 3rd owner, and just a group of passionate guys who love the hobby stuff. For me, I tend to be most into D&D. That's why I play a few times a week with my friends. We get together on Thursdays, Sundays, we do that. Also do a lot of video gaming myself, and trying my best to understand Magic a little bit more, but at most I have enough to play a game, but not to win a game. Oh gosh. Jacob, how many regulars do we have?
If I was to guess, people that come in here on a weekly basis,
Well, I can
I
calculate
would
this actually.
probably say between 75 and 100
75 and 100.
on weekly basis, like each week, guaranteed.
Mystery board. Let me. Yeah, that looks about right. I'd ballpark it right there. Like weekly regulars, probably somewhere in 75 to 100. Some we know a bit better than others, but some are just familiar faces that we get to know and enjoy having around. The biggest draw across the board is actually cell phone repair. So a few years back, we actually had to diversify. We didn't have to at the time, but we diversified over to iPhone repair because screens are always getting broken. People always need someone to fix it. So we have a few people on staff who have the expertise to fix it. Aside from cell phones, it's video games, but especially when like the pandemic rolled through and a lot of places had to close down, we were actually able to stay open because we were doing cell phone repair, and that made us an essential business. And so at least at that time, that was a crucial thing in keeping us alive and above water the entire time.
My name is Jacob Faust. Let me do some quick maths real quick. Quick maths. Probably about like six and a half years, something like that. I've worked from the beginning of 2015 to the end of 2017, and then I left for another job, and then I came back at the end of 2019. Lori is the oldest, the manager. She's worked here 7 or 8 years now. I don't remember, but I'd probably say I'm either second or tied for second, for sure, for oldest employee. I worked for the previous owner, Paul Seimer. I wasn't the biggest fan of the old boss, I should say. Paul, he's an art guy. He was more of a, he's a little more strict than the newer boss. The newer boss is definitely more laid back guy. Paul was more of business first kind of guy. But he wasn't bad. It was just, different ownership styles, I should say. Of course, I run all of the Magic events we have here, Magic Gathering events. So I pretty much know every Magic player's name by heart at this point, which is a lot of names to keep up with. So I know all of them pretty well. I could sit here and list names after names. There's a lot. Almost all of our regulars, I would say, I have a very good relationship with. We've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of customers, and I would like to say we have at least for me, a pretty good relationship with most of them. A long time ago when I first started doing it, it was a little stressful because I was newer to it and I didn't, I had to make sure everything was running right. But now at this point, it's not bad at all. It's pretty laid back and chill. Most of the time, it's all right. Make sure everyone's signed up to the event. Make sure you reported correctly. Other than that, it's pretty runs itself pretty much.
I'd say it would be the community around it. That's the entire thing that we try to do, is we either foster community with our customers amongst themselves, or we try and provide a place for people to come. But the community around the store is probably what I like the most. There are perks here and there. You get to see cool stuff as it comes in, but that's beside the point compared to the community that the store offers. But there are definitely some customers that we see more often than not. Hi, Michael. we get to know pretty well. But for the most part, it's you see like the different friend groups of the customers roll throughout the week. So we have our Tuesday crew for D&D. That's wildly different, where you have one table that is a very by the books, very straight laced campaign, and then you have another one where they're flying by the seat of their pants and going to Kingdom Hearts world. Why not? And then you have your hardcore Magic players that are doing their thing, and they're just absolutely nuts about this game. And everybody, like each day where you have a different group of people, it's so different, but they all have sort of this common community location in this store. So like these different nodes that kind of meet up here. So we're sort of the pivot of this wheel of community.
Name's Michael Taylor. I live here in, not Jackson, but in Oakfield. What keeps me personally coming here is that really it's where I found all my friends. I dropped out of college and came out of the, started working, then I say, oh, there's a D&D table. And I was like, okay, cool. Start playing D&D, and after I start playing D&D, I start getting into Magic, and then I end up being here most of the week.
5 years ago, the store was 30 years old, and Tony Reed and my son, behind my back, told a lot of people about it and everything, and they surprised me. I thought it was for my birthday, but it was for the 30-year being in business.
Without this place, I would have probably gone to like somewhere else and just like maybe stayed at home all the time. But since I started doing this, got more social, learned more about people, and it's really been fun. It helped me. The story helped me actually get into D&D, because beforehand I never actually played it at all. I never was in a campaign. Being in a campaign made me want to be a DM. In fact, I'm known for the person who's been like around like every single table, playing for like some of the best DMs and some of the worst. It's been an adventure throughout it all.
And it says, in honor of a real Wonder Woman, presented to Rethel Miller for your dedication to the business you and your husband, Carl Smitty Miller, began 30 years ago, and for keeping that legacy alive and thriving on your own for 21 years. We love you and celebrate you.
Was it a lot of family and customers that showed up for that?
Honey, I was shocked. Here come the Filipinos and all this stuff, which they're my family too. And I thought, well, it's because it's my birthday. But it was Channel 7 came and all that good stuff. And they really surprised me.
And that's really the joy of it. Just like coming here and just having fun. Meeting new people like y'all. Coming down and seeing like the people from Free Hartman. My group, which is most of the people from our group, 3 of them came from Union. 1 of them lives with them. And the rest of them, we all just like slowly drifted in. Like for like one of my friends, he has having a wedding, and like he's marrying a DM. They met like 2-3 years ago. They met through D&D, and I'm like, that's crazy. And I got to saw that. Now, I didn't actually know it was happening until like there was a, what was it, engagement party, and I was like, oh, y'all are dating? Yeah, and it's just been fun.
As Tony Reed and his wife had that made for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he puts the store on Facebook.
It's been interesting because first off, it started with I was the only guy who was actually in the group. Well, it started with the original, well, the owner before this. I played with his wife, and also one of the. Then one of my friends, she said, "Oh, cool, they need new DMs," and we were still playing, and she's like, "Okay, cool, I'm going to move to another table," and I joined her table, and then she brought in a couple of her friends, and then we said, "Okay, cool." One of her friends wanted to be a DM. I'm like, "Okay, cool, I'll move to that table also." And so then I started playing because originally I was only playing on Sundays, but then we moved to Sundays, then we moved to Tuesdays, then we moved to Wednesday, and then we moved to Thursday, and I was like going almost every single day. And in between that, I was also playing board game night, which was Mondays, and I've been part of that crew also. And really, the group dynamic was a whole bunch of friends who just came together, and we've slowly been building our group. And it's been lasting, like, because usually when I remember when we used to go to Mulligan's, the waitress and other people like come up to us saying, "Oh, how old are y'all? Y'all college and y'all still okay? Y'all must be from the same college." And they hear like we're all working different kinds of jobs, and they're like, "What brought y'all together?" And it's like just D&D.
He just came in one winter day, and it was cold, and I told him, I said, "I'm gonna fix me a cup of hot cocoa. You want some?" He said, "Well, sure." So that's it. That's how I met him.
And now he runs your Facebook?
Yeah, he puts the store on Facebook. I don't do nothing with it.
Good for
I just
you.
tell him put on there when free comic book day or when I'm having a sale. But no, I don't care anything about Facebook, Twitter, or nothing like that. Because if you ever see anything,
Okay, let me just double check our list.
I've I'm friends with Chris up there. We are in the same campaign. Magic players. I was one of the original. Well, D&D first off. I'll start there. I was one of the original persons who played in the first D&D campaign when they renovated and built the new room. And I graduated from like that table and slowly started moving around and around until I found my DM over here. It's been wonderful, really. They're nice and it's just creative, and I work as a teacher assistant. It lets me relieve a lot of stress I get.
people always ask when I'm gonna retire. I don't want to retire. I don't want to retire. I like my life.